Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we're continuing with our weekly Zohar and the Parsha of the Zohar Shir, to orient ourselves towards the healing waters of the Zohar HaKadosh, the healing air of the Zohar, as well as to find ourselves in the Parsha itself. And what we're going to look at is a Zohar Kadosh that really captures one of the things about the Zohar is, aside from the profound narrative structure of the Zohar, which orients oneself to the freedom of the text and a freedom of Emunah and a willingness to wander without a place and to find oneself in the air of the Emunah of Svas and Meron and the Yisoid of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Aside from the Razin that are emergent from every pasuk and every word, there's also a viscerality to the Zohar HaKadosh. When the Zohar HaKadosh speaks of human emotion, when the Zohar HaKadosh speaks of the experience of what it means to be a human being, so there's a very strong, almost powerful utilization of words that really hit the direct mark and orient the person to kind of the framework or the theme of what's taking place in that pasuk, meaning the Maisa Avosim Labanim, and what the tzaddikim and the Avos HaOlam are going through become real moods, real colors of human experience that begin to take shape in front of our eyes, and we actually begin to read the text in that framework. If a person allows themselves to enter into the Zohar Kadosh with an openness of heart, so that the Zohar Kadosh can enter into their heart and transform their heart into part of the Sefer Zohar, then a person will allow themselves to be moved by the power of the text and also oriented towards the emotional colors that the text conveys. So the Tanoim, the Chavrei Kadisha, are discussing the first pasuk, VaYeitzeh Yaakov mi Be'ershava v'yelech Harana. And Yaakov left Be'ershava, he left the town of Be'ershava, and he went towards Haran. Now, Rabbi Shimon says, and this is Parshas VaYeitzeh at the beginning, Tav Kuf Men Zayim Amud Aleph. Rabbi Shimon says, Nafik Miklala Da'ari Yisrael, that Yaakov Avinu left Eretz Yisrael, he left the land of Israel. D'chsiv VaYeitzeh Yaakov mi Be'ershava, that Yaakov left the place of Be'ershava. Shava usually refers to Malchus. Malchus is Eretz Yisrael. It's the lowest expression of the infinite light of the Rebbeinu Shalom in a measurable way, which is Gans Eretz Yisrael, which is a Dir B'Tachlein Mamish, Va'azel l'Rishu Achra, and he went into a different domain meaning not just a transition of space, but an actual transition from domain to domain. It's a new framework of mind. It's not simply a transition of space. As Rabbi Nachman says, that Misha Yesh Lev Yisraeli in Shayach L'Makom Klal, that a person who has a Lev Yisraeli, a Jewish heart, then space really makes no distinction to them, because the Iker is the Rishus of the space. What Rishus do I find myself in? Am I in a Rishus Harabim, in a place of dispersal and disunity, or do I orient myself towards the Rishus HaYochid, which is the secret of unity? So over here, what Yaakov Avinu is teaching us, what we're learning from Yaakov Avinu, is the ability to leave Ar Yisrael, to leave Be'ershava, that place of satisfaction and satiety and calmness, Va'azil Rishu Achra, and to enter into another domain. D'chsiv, like the pasuk says, V'yelech Charana, and he went down to Haran. Nafik mi Mizrach, that he left from the east. He left the east. D'chsiv v'yeitzeh Yaakov mi Be'ershava. As the pasuk says, Yaakov left Be'ershava. Da shmita denatil me umka ilah nehiru denahir. That what is it that Yaakov Avinu was leaving? Yaakov Avinu was leaving the secret of Eretz Yisrael, the secret of Shemitah, the secret of number 7, the secret of Malchus, which is taken from a higher place, which is the secret of Bina, like we spoke about last time, that there's the Hey Ilah and the Hey Tata, and Bina and Malchus always have a profoundly revealed connection with one another in the form of the two feminine aspects of the Shem Havaya, of receptivity and constriction, in order to reveal redemption and clarity. And so specifically in this place of Shemitah, which is the secret of the freedom of the land of Eretz Yisrael, the taste of the Cherus Ha'amiti, which is emergence from a Yovel itself, the Malchus, which comes from Bina, that is what Yaakov Avinu was leaving. Yaakov Avinu was leaving that place which is oriented towards the east, which is oriented towards kind of the clarity and the Zrichas HaShemesh, the shining of the sun and the illumination of the mind. That the Natil Me'umke Ilah Nihiru Dinahir Va'azil Ma'arav, and he went towards the west, and he went down into Haran. So what is Harana? Now the Zohar HaKadosh utilizes what the notion of the text is saying. Harana is Haron, it's anger, it's rage, it's frustration, it's the tendency towards anger, which is the losing of the mind. V'yelech Harana, Yaakov leaves the saturation, the Be'ershava of Eretz Yisrael, and goes down into that place where there's judgments, where there's severity. V'rugza and there's a roiges there, there's an anger. And anger is never just anger. Anger is an irritation, and an irritation that begins with a sensitivity sensitivity. And that sensitivity, if not tended to, leads to an irritation, and an irritation, if not dealt with, leads to a frustration, and a frustration that's not addressed leads to a resentment, and a resentment is ultimately just the baseline of anger, and then it turns into the gradations of rage and a person losing their mind. Like the Chazal tell us explicitly that the person who gets angry is as if they served Avodah Zarah, because Avodah Zarah is the negation of all meaning. And so too, in anger, whatever is meaningful in a person's life goes out the window, because at that moment when one is seeing red, so the rugza, that anger, that intensity seems to be blinding a person. So what we're learning over here is how Yaakov goes from Be'er Shava into that place of Haran, into that place of rugza Teman. So Rabbi Yossi comes along based on the drasha, based on the air that has been opened up by his Rebbe, Rabbi Shimon, with the previous drasha. So Rabbi Yossi moiki haikra begalusa kadmisa, that Rav Yossi, instead of reading this pasuk as describing the departure of Yaakov Avinu from Eretz Yisrael and descending down into outside of Eretz Yisrael, Rav Yossi is looking at from the perspective of redemption and exile. That just as, and it's not a machlokas, obviously, it's speaking on multiple planes of existence at once. There's an olam, shana, and a nefesh. And in makom, in the olam, so there's Eretz Yisrael and there's Chutz La'aretz. In the shana, there's the inyan of Geula, and there's an inyan of Galus, and there's the inyan of Mashiach Tzidkenu. And so we're going to see Rav Yossi is now describing it on the level of Zman, rather than Makom, which Rabbi Shimon was being masbir. Moiki haikra begalusa. He utilizes this pasuk about Yaakov's departure into exile. Bekadmisa havenachis nihirim me'umke ilah. In the beginning, there was a drawing down of that deep light that emerged from on high. V'Yaakov havenatil ve'azal lagabe Be'er Shava. And Yaakov Avinu took from it, and he went with it to the place of Be'er Shava. Be'er de chafru hasharim, that well that had been irrigated previously by Yitzchak and by Avram. That well that has never been covered up, because what Yaakov Avinu reveals, as the tzaddikim say, is that Avram had to dig a new well. Yitzchak Avinu had to dig a new well, because those wells couldn't get covered up. But Yaakov Avinu never has to dig a new well. Yaakov Avinu simply has to remove the boulder off of the well, revealing that the waters of the well are perpetually there. Mitaso Shlema, Yaakov Avinu is the same in Be'er Shava as he is in Haran. Yitzchak Avinu was not able to leave Eretz Yisrael because Yitzchak Avinu and Haran have a different relationship. Avram Avinu couldn't have left in the way that Yaakov left, but Yaakov goes down. He goes down into Haran and has the ability to reveal that even there I have the capacity of uncovering the well. Be'er de chafura sharim, de have nahir miteman. That light was emergent from there, Ishlim lahuhu be'er, and he completes that be'er, he completes that secret of the emergence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light from within the pockets of existence, b'chol shlemu, with all of its fullness. Ubiyuma de galusa, and on the day of exile, Natil Mahai Be'er Shava, he left that Be'er Shava, he left that space of saturation, that saturation of the well, Be'azil Lagabe Charana, and he descended down into Haran, Dechsiv Yele Charana, and he goes down into Haran, Kloimar Harun Af. Zok the Zohar, what does it mean, Haran? It means he descends down into anger. Maihu Haran Apai, the Kudshabarichu. And what is it? It's the anger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Darga Bisha. Ara Derishu Achra. It's the anger, it's that place where the Rabbeinu Shalom Kavyachol has a siman of rugza, of a moment, as the Gemara tells us in Brachos, about what Bilam Harasha was able to tap into. That moment of Rega Ba'apo Chaim Bertzono, that there's a moment of what appears to be anger by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the tachlis is to go down like Yaakov Avinu, to go down like Yaakov Avinu and realize that the only thing to do in that descent downwards is going to be the ability to say Kriyat Shema, it's going to be the ability to daven, it's going to be the ability to be v'yifka b'makom, to uncover the secret of Kipul Haaretz, that secret of Kvitzat Saderach, of folding one thing in half upon itself to minimize the intensity that things take. But Yaakov Avinu is going down. Yaakov Avinu is leaving that place of Be'er Shava, and he's descending down into that Rishu Achra. And the only thing that Yaakov Avinu knows how to do, and the only thing that Yaakov can do, is to continue to daven through that place of anger. As they said about the Rebbe of Baruch, that the Rebbe of Baruch of Mezhebush was famously appears to be a ragzan. He would get angry, he would yell, he would scream. Very often his brachos were delivered in ways of screaming. He was known to be the pillar of Gevuros. He was known to be the pillar of Din, and that the brachos you would receive from him were by way of Din specifically. And what was abundantly clear to all of the tzaddikim, especially Rebbe of Baruch himself, is that it was an or mufla remala. There was only chesed and chazde chasadim and rachamim rabim, but it had to be mislabesh in the secret of Rugza. And the story goes that on his deathbed, the Rebbe of Baruch, who was an ish of the Zohar HaKadosh, he lived with the Zohar HaKadosh, him and Rav Pinchas Karitzer were the tzaddikim from amongst the Talmidei Abal Shem Tov, who understood and expressed more than other tzaddikim in a revealed way how they couldn't live one day in this world without the Sefer Zohar HaKadosh. And the Zohar is the only thing that kept them going from time to time, and that there's not enough words in the world to praise the Rebbeinu Shalom for allowing us to live in the time when the Zohar HaKadosh is revealed. And that what happened is the Rebbe of Baruch passed away with his finger on the place in the Zohar HaKadosh that says Is Rugza de Ikra Baruch. There is a rage, there is an anger, there is a tendency towards intensity, and that is referred to as Baruch, meaning to say that VaYeitzeh Charana, the descent down into Haran, is going to be the birthplace. It's going to be the incubator wherein Knesset Yisrael is built, wherein we find the encounter with Rachel and Leah and Akar Sabayas and Bilhah and Zilpah, and all of the Or Mufla Remala comes out, and Yosef Atzadik comes out, and Klal Yisrael through this descent into the Haran Af, and the ability to find that light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that is still there, that a person has the ability to dive into the Rebbeinu Shalom and to be Yifka b'makom hahu. In that way, a person has the ability to be Mahapich the Haran Af into the secret of Rugza the Baruch, into the secret of what appears to be a moment of Rega Ba'apo, where it appears that HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns his face Kavyachol for even a moment when there's a departure away from Eretz Yisrael into the Moichin of Chutz La'aretz, Chavalim Nafli b'ne'imim, that pleasantness has been invaded by an unpleasantness, as the tzaddikim point out based on the Yerushalmi. But it's specifically here that we find the secret of Baruch. It's specifically here that Yaakov is going to encounter Lavan and transform Lavan and be able to say, Lavan Garti v'tayag mitzvah shamarti. I lived in that world of Klipas Noiga and I found the Or of Kedushin, every one of the 613 sparks there. And now Vayili Shor v'chamor, I have the koyach of you, I have the koyach of Yishmael, I could be mevatel both of you. I have the koyach of Avram and Yitzchak, I have Torah and Tefillah, I have Rishus, which is a choiva, and a choiva which was Rishus, and armed with the capacity to descend down into anger and still reveal the Yechuda Shel Olam there, and to be mehapich the anger itself into Rachamim Rabim, as Rabbi Nachman says that this is the ultimate motivation to come to Eretz Yisrael, of being mamtik the Charon Af. And how is a person mamtik Charon Af? Through arichas Af, through taking a deep breath, by taking a deep breath and calming oneself down and allowing oneself to take a double take and to pause and not give in to the first reflection of self or the immediacy of the moment. It's specifically in that way that a person is going to be able to be mamtik the Af. And when a person is mamtik Af, they draw down arichas yamim and arichas af, which is what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to enter into Eretz Yisrael for. One of the punishments that Moshe Rabbeinu Kavyachol is punished for is the anger, as the Meforshim point out, some semblance of anger that emerged in the Chet of the Sela. And as a result of that, Moshe Rabbeinu was not able yet to enter into Eretz Yisrael in a revealed way. He's still stuck in that place of Charon. As Rabbi Nachman says, that Moshe, which is Gematria 345, stands between Shmad and Ratzon. Ratzon, will, desire, connectivity is Gematria 346. Moshe is 345, and Shmad, or heresy, is 344. Moshe is still wedged in that place of the Tzalmud Lav Hoganlei, that place which is inappropriate for the value of a neshama like Moshe. The only appropriate place for Moshe Rabbeinu is back in Be'er Shava, is back in the secret of the Malchusa Kaddish, of the Malchus Agnusa Baradla, which is the secret of the Koitel Ma'aravi, of Mibein Shnei Akruvim, which is Roshei Tevos Moshe Rabbeinu, and our avodah being mamtik Charon Af, and drawing deep breath into our lives and drawing ourselves back into the Moichin of Eretz Yisrael is how we bring Moshe Rabbeinu into Eretz Yisrael. And when Moshe Rabbeinu comes back into Eretz Yisrael, then it's a chazar to the Chila, and Moshe Masha Hayu Hushiyah, which is the secret of Mashiach Tzidkenu, is able to arrive, and it's going to be the secret of the Hiskalus Hadasa Amiti Kedas Moshe Yisrael, and the Das of Kol Echad Ve'echad, that makom of Lo Yada Ish is Kvuraso, that hidden place in the mind where we can be Mamtik Charon Af, where we can laugh at the heart of that which frustrates us. We can laugh at what appears to be a deviation away from our expectations and our appointed notions of this world, and to laugh like the tzaddikim laugh in the secret of Azimali Pinu L'Shanein Arena, where the tzaddikim reveal that there was never any actual anger, there was only Racham and Rabim. And Be'ezras Hashem, we should be Zochar to a Geula Shlema and Ayim Ba'ayun Yir B'Shuv Hashem Tzion B'Racham and Rabim B'Mhir B'Yameinu Amen Selah.